Oh.
Oh
no. Yes guys, welcome back to another video, and yes, I'm back again with another Mr. Ballen video. Now, I promise you guys I'm going to get the gaming video up soon.
Really?
I promise, okay? But we've just got to do what we've got to do, right? So, I'm just reacting to another Mr. Ballen video. Like I said before, hopefully soon, gaming video. Don't know which game it's going to be, but it's fine, alright? So without further ado, let's not make a long intro. Let's get straight into this, okay? Okay guys, this video is called Inside His Tent of Horrors. Mature audiences only. Mature audiences. Well, I'm mature.
Oh my god, that is funny!
So, that's okay with me. But what is inside this guy's tent? Ooh, dead bodies? We're thinking dead bodies? Drugs? Nah, that's... I think dead bodies is definitely worse. Okay guys, let's get this started, shall we?
In April of 2023, police in a little town in western India got a call about something horrible being discovered inside of this tent on a farmer's property. So the police went to this property and found this patchwork tent, which was propped up against the stone wall on the back of the property. And the police, they opened it up, they looked inside, and at first they didn't really understand what they were looking at. It just looked like a sort of weird religious shrine of some kind. But upon closer examination, they realized what they were looking at was actually something very dark. This is one of those
very dark.
That goes
Ooh, okay.
in a totally random direction at the end, and I must warn you, it's quite graphic, so viewer discretion is advised.
Thank you.
Before we get into that story,
if you guys don't want to watch this because it's too graphic or too mature for you guys, then just leave. You can leave if you want.
Upload once a week. So, if that's of interest to you, the next time the like button is not looking, secretly replace their medical marijuana stash with an ornery 200-pound Komodo dragon. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's story.
Final act. I swear, he likes to bully the like button.
On the evening of April 15th, 2023,
this is recent then.
Hansa and Himu Makwana stood on the front doorstep
of a little
shack in a little village in western India called Vinchia. With these two parents were their two kids, a son and a daughter, who were 12 and 13 years old respectively, and they were really excited because tonight they were going to be spending the night with their uncle and their cousins who lived in this shack right in front of them. And so moments later, the door to this shack opened up, and immediately the two kids ran inside calling out for their cousins, and the uncle who had opened the door, he just smiled and said hello to Himu and Hansa, and the parents, they're calling after their kids to, please behave, listen to your uncle, be good, but they were already gone. And so finally the uncle said, don't worry,
let us like the uncles then.
We'll see you tomorrow. And so Himu and Hansa thanked him very much, and they turned around, they grabbed each other's hands and began walking out towards the dirt road that would take them back to their own home. The village that Himu and Hansa and their kids and their uncle and their cousins all lived in was a very poor, rundown farming community where, for the most part, people worked really hard but barely got by.
Barely got money.
This night, as Himu and Hansa walked along this dirt road, passing by the shacks and tiny apartments and fields and livestock that were kind of all over the place, they weren't thinking about, the struggles of daily life in this village. Instead,
I think
they
it's
were
bad.
thinking about how beautiful the village was that night. The sun was starting to set, and so the sky was this beautiful orange, and all the cows that had been out that day, kind of wandering around the village, were all starting to stand up. And
they have so many bloody cows, I swear.
For dinner, and with every step the cows made, the little bells on their neck would ring out. And so the scene in front of Himu and Hansa was so beautiful and peaceful that for a moment they just stopped on the road and kind of took in the sights and sounds.
I mean,
and then at some point, a group of cows who were making their way to their stable came up onto the road right where Himu and Hansa were, and very quickly the couple stepped back to make sure no mud or dirt got kicked up on their clothes. Now, Himu and Hansa were farmers by trade, and so on most days they would wear clothes that were covered in mud and dirt. But this night was different. Himu and Hansa were wearing their finest outfits, and they were not about to get them dirty. Hansa had on her beautiful red dress, and Himu
Of
was
course, you
wearing
don't want to
a
get your
starched
nice
white button-up
clothes
shirt.
dirty.
After the cows had crossed the road, and suddenly the path was clear again for Himu and Hansa to walk on.
Yep.
Himu paused before taking a step, and he turned and just looked at Hansa. And Hansa, who lately had been feeling quite down, appeared to be very happy and radiant. And so Himu just smiled at Hansa, and at some point Hansa looked up and smiled at him, and then before long they were holding hands again, strolling down the road. A little while later, the couple turned onto their street,
Okay.
and just up ahead on the left side, just off the road, they could see their home, which was a small concrete and brick structure. But when the couple actually reached their property, instead of going in the front door, they walked around their property into the back side where all their crops were. They were growing peanuts and cotton. And Himu and Hansa just walked straight back away from their house through these fields all the way to the very back of their property, which was marked by this huge stone wall that was as
Which is
tall
where the
as
tent-
Hansa
this-
was.
which is
And
where
when
the
they
tent
reached
is, isn't
this
it?
wall, they also reached their tent. It was like this patchwork tent they had built, with one side being supported by the stone wall, and the other side, the side closest to them as they approached it, was supported by these pikes they had driven into the ground. Inside of this
so
tent
it's not a very
was
big
the family
tent.
shrine to the Hindu god Shiva. And over the last couple of days, Himu and Hansa had been working on this new addition to the family shrine.
Yeah.
It had been a lot of work, but it was finally done, and tonight, Himu and Hansa were finally going to be able to use it. The couple stood outside the tent, taking in the sights and sounds of the beautiful sunset.
I feel like there'd be
One
certain
after the
areas in
other,
India that'd
they
be
went
really
inside
nice.
the tent. The next
Especially
day,
to look at, 'cause it's
sometime
just
in the afternoon,
nature,
Himu
innit?
and Hansa's children returned from their uncle's house after sleeping over there the night before.
Yeah.
And when they got to their home, they went in the front door and immediately called out for their parents. But their parents were not inside the house. And so these siblings walked all around the house and then went out the back door, thinking maybe their parents were out in the fields working. But when they went outside,
They're not.
they saw their parents were not out there either. And so as the kids stood there kind of wondering where their parents were,
Yeah.
the boy said to his older sister, maybe they're in the shrine. So the kids left the back of their house, they cut
Goes to
straight
the
across
tent,
the field, all the way to that back stone wall where they found the shrine, the tent that was propped up against the wall. And right away, the kids noticed something was off about the shrine.
Okay.
Whenever their parents were in there praying, they could typically hear them from a distance as they walked up to the shrine. But now, standing right outside of it, it was totally silent.
Oh.
The kids finally lifted
Something's
up the flap of
fishy.
the tent, and they looked inside, and once again, they did not see their parents. Instead, what they saw inside of the shrine was totally confusing.
Right, we're back from the sponsor.
The shrine, which their parents typically kept absolutely immaculately clean
Nice and clean.
at
It's how
all
dirty,
times,
isn't it?
looked kind of dirty.
Yeah, yeah.
There was this weird rusty colored liquid kind of all over everything, including on some of the holy
rusty
objects,
liquid.
like the picture and statue of Shiva. And in the middle of the shrine, where there was this fire pit, were these two hunks of meat that looked like they had been placed in the fire and then forgotten about. The kids knew their parents would never leave the shrine in this condition, nor would they spoil food and let it sit out on a fire and not eat it. And so they're thinking to themselves, you know, what happened inside of the shrine?
I have
And where are my
suspicions about
parents?
what's happened.
And then, when they did one more look around the inside of the
But
shrine,
I'm just gonna wait.
they noticed something that they had not when they first opened up the tent. And when they realized what it was, they screamed and took off running. This is the story behind what those children saw.
Oh,
The night before,
no.
when their parents, Himu and Hansa,
I think I have a
stepped
hunch.
inside the tent, they looked around and surveyed the shrine. Right in the middle of the shrine on the ground was that fire pit.
Yeah.
And then off to the right side of the fire pit was a small egg-shaped statue that was a statue of Shiva. And then next to the statue was a picture of Shiva. Shiva is a powerful figure in the Hindu religion. He is viewed as a god of both rebirth and of destruction. And when he is portrayed, like in the photo and in the statue that was inside of the shrine, His skin is smeared white.
Oh, I recognize that
ashes of
statue.
Corpses. He has crescent moons in his hair, and around his neck are snakes and skulls.
Yeah, I've seen this
So
statue
Shiva
before.
is kind of viewed as both a loving, kind god and also one to be scared of.
Yeah.
And so after the couple looked around at their shrine for a second, they got to work. Even though that night it was very hot and muggy outside, the first thing the couple did was get some.
Were they wearing their
firewood
nice
off the
clothes at this
side
point as
inside
well?
of this tent, put it in the fire pit, and start a fire. And then after
Okay.
the fire was built, Hansa began sprinkling orange flower petals all around the statue and picture of Shiva. And at the same time, Himu got out a piece of paper and began writing a note. And as he wrote, his hand shook with nervous anticipation of what they were going to do that night.
What's he gonna do?
And then after Himu finished writing this letter, he and Hansa dipped their thumbs in ink and pressed them
yeah.
to the bottom of this note, kind of like signing the note.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then after the note was complete, they folded it up and tucked it between the statue and the picture of Shiva. Then Himu and Hansa turned their attention to their newest addition to the shrine. The new addition basically just looked like a big door frame, but without a door in the middle of it.
Yeah, yeah.
It was made out of scrap metal that Himu and Hansa had gathered around
just
the
like a door,
village. And
rectangle
if you were
square.
standing in front of this structure, it would almost look like you were looking at a doorway into the fire pit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also draped over the top of this rectangular frame was a white rope. And so Himu and Hansa moved over right in front of the structure as if they were going to walk through the frame into the fire. But instead of doing that, they knelt down right at the base of the structure, right in the dirt.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they both, in unison, began to say a prayer out loud. And then after the prayer was done, Himu reached up and grabbed one end of this white rope, and he began pulling it until it was tight. And then he pulled it a little bit more and a little bit more until he had it right where he wanted it, and then he held the rope steady. And then Himu, still holding onto this rope, along with Hansa, very carefully got down onto their bellies, Himu being very cautious not to give any slack to the rope or pull it any farther. And then once they were in position on their bellies, all they would have heard was the crackling of the fire in front of them, and all they would have felt was their hearts beating in their chest. Now, very likely, Himu and Hansa were terrified at this point.
Himu's the guy, right?
But this was their moment. They had come too far, and they knew they had to finish this ritual. And so,
they're doing a
one
ritual.
last loving look at
Oh,
each
dear.
other, the couple nodded, and then turned their attention back to the fire, and then Himu let go of the rope. The rusty-colored liquid that Himu and Hansa's children would discover inside of this shrine the next day was Himu and Hansa's blood.
Oh, oh no! See, I thought the guy sacrificed and killed his wife. I didn't realize they killed each other, or they killed themselves. I thought he killed her. Oh no! Oh no! But then, if they're doing a ritual, did they not think about their children? You know, the children have to live without the parents. Oh, bloody rituals, man.
Children saw in the fire pit were their parents' decapitated heads. The children realized this was the case when they scanned around the tent one more time and noticed their parents' headless bodies lying side by side at the base of the structure. That was what, of course, caused the children to run outside and go find the police. This new addition to the shrine, the metallic structure, was a homemade guillotine. A guillotine is a device that kills people by cutting off their heads. The white rope that Himu had pulled on was connected on one side to a very heavy
so that
metal
pit's
blade.
where the head's
and so
gonna
when he
fall
was
into.
pulling the rope, he was pulling that blade up off the ground until it was positioned right above them, and then he held it steady. And then when he let go, the blade fell straight down, striking the backs of their necks, decapitating them instantly and sending their heads rolling forward into the fire, as designed. When the police arrived at the shrine, they would find that letter that Himu and Hansa had written and then signed with their thumb, tucked near the statue and the picture. And in this note, Himu and Hansa would not give a reason for why they did this.
It was a
but they would
ritual, isn't
say, this was our choice. We wanted to do this. We just ask that our living family members take care of our children and our elderly parents. No one has been
my
able to
God.
give a reason for why
would you
Himu
leave your
and Hansa
kids?
intentionally decapitated themselves and then let their heads burn in a fire. Their family has said there was no indication that the couple was going to commit suicide. I mean, they seemed happy. They were not financially well off, but they were not financially struggling either. It seemed like their life was good. And so basically, this whole thing came out of left field. As for the police, they believe that Himu and Hansa must have been performing some sort of black magic ritual where they believed if they lopped their heads off and allowed them to roll forward and burn in this fire, that somehow would bring them closer to perhaps Shiva or some other god or some other higher power. But as of today, no one knows.
Oh my God, that was like a twist. That was a twist. I thought the guy sacrificed or killed his wife. That's what I was assuming at first, but then, dear. Those kids, how those kids are gonna feel without having the parents, because the parents wanted to do a ritual. Oh, poor kids. But some people just believe that what they're doing is right, and the ritual they're doing is right. But it's just so sad. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. This one is shorter than the other ones, but that's fine. Like I say, I'm going to try and get a gaming video out as soon as possible. As soon as I've downloaded one game, just one. All I need is just to download one game, and I can start making content on that game. But until then, I'm still going to do reaction videos. And like I said, once I've got a game, I'm just going to start doing constant gaming videos. So my gaming videos I've caught up with my reacting videos. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.